What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. Anthony Joshua regains his heavyweight titles by unanimous decision, defeating Andy Ruiz. He regains the WBO, the WBA, the IBF, and the IBO titles. So he's once again unified champion. Andy Joshua, got to give credit what's credit's due, man. In my prediction video, I predicted Andy Ruiz would stop Anthony Joshua in the 8th round. It didn't happen, man. AJ fought a disciplined fight. He took, he fought the Wladimir Klitscko. He took the Wladimir Klitscko blueprint and implemented that, man. I saw how, he was speaking glowingly of Wladimir Klitscko before the fight, and I saw him meeting up with Wladimir Klitscko and stuff like that. And they were saying that Klitschko was teaching him a few things and giving him some pointers. But excuse me. Obviously, Wladimir Klitschko was in the training camp with AJ. I don't know if people knew about that or they kept it hush hush, but he obviously was in the camp with AJ, and he gave him some good pointers, man. I think AJ need to maybe make him his one of his trainers. McCracken did a good job as far as implementing the game plan. Don't get me wrong, but he fought exactly the same style of fighting that Wladimir Klitschko did. And he did a good job of jabbing, fighting from a distance. First of all, he did a good job of controlling distance, shooting that jab out, hitting him with the right hand. He cut Ruiz in the early portion of that fight. I think it was the second round, if I'm not mistaken. He was able to cut Ortiz with a beautiful right hand. And it was set up off the jab, man. He did a good job of shooting the jab out there. He did a good job catching him with the right hand, the right hook. He did a good job of just fighting a very disciplined fight, man. When Andy Ruiz got close, he was able to tie Ruiz up, and he pretty much nullified Andy Ruiz inside fighting. Andy Ruiz came in this fight not ready to fight, man. He didn't come in here in prime condition. Obviously, he came in at 283 pounds, and he was weighed at 268 pounds in the first fight. So that was 15 pounds heavier than the first fight. He tried to say after the weigh-in yesterday that, I ate lunch and I ate dinner. I thought the weigh-in was going to be this morning. They had to weigh in later on. So I had ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that was the reason why I had those extra 15 pounds. And, I had the sombrero hat on. I might have had something in my pocket, maybe some Twinkies and some cupcakes and some Snickers in my pocket, and this, that, and the third, man, making all kind of excuses, man. And what the fact of the matter was, you didn't come in good shape, man. His trainer, Nobles, said after the fight that, he was dealing with an injury. I don't want to hear nothing about no injury, man. That's a bunch of BS, man. Give Anthony Joshua his just due. He won the fight, fair and square. I don't want to hear nothing about no injury. You lost, man. You lost. You wasn't able to cut off the ring. You came in out of shape. Your punches didn't have the same ferocity of explosiveness and quickness that they had in the previous fight. So you just got to, live with that, man. Don't make no excuses. I hate when people make excuses after they lose, man. Don't blame injury and all that. You didn't say anything about no injury before the fight. Don't say anything about an injury after the fight. You lost, man. You fought a piss poor fight. You didn't cut off the ring. You didn't let your hands go. You were not aggressive. It seemed like AJ caught you with that right hand early on in that fight, so that kind of, toned down your aggressive attack that you probably was planning on doing. You look at the ring, man. The ring was a big ring. They negotiated the ring size. Before the fight. That was implemented before the fight. So Team Ruiz knew that was going to be a big ring, so they should have been working on in camp how to cut off the ring. Didn't do a good job of all of cutting off the ring, man. And just fought a piss poor fight, man. It kind of reminded me of Buster Douglas, man. After Buster Douglas put on a beautiful performance and upsetting and shocking not only the boxing world but the sports world when he defeated Mike Tyson, and he came back, man, out of shape. Didn't look nothing like what he looked against Tyson and got slapped out by Evander Holyfield. And that was pretty much the end of Buster Douglas' career. Only difference between him and Ruiz was Ruiz got beat by the guy that he defeated before then. Buster Douglas never fought Mike Tyson in the rematch, as Mike wanted to get the rematch, but Evander Holyfield was the #1 contender for that belt, and he didn't want to, step aside and allow that rematch to take place. And if they would have had a rematch, I'm pretty much sure Mike Tyson would have knocked out Buster Douglas. If Buster Douglas came in Holyfield rematch in piss poor condition, and way overweight than what he had when he fought Tyson. And I'm looking at Andy Ruiz in the same light, as he came in piss poor condition, fought a horrible fight, man. Fought a horrible fight, just a horrible fight, man. He was just couldn't get off, didn't throw enough punches, was able, fought the way. Fought just, didn't control any of the action. Fought in spurts. Wasn't nearby aggressive as he should have been. Fought in spurts and didn't get the job done, man. Just was a piss poor performance by Andy Ruiz and a good performance by Anthony Joshua. It was a boring fight, man. I watched the fight at Hooters, man. Went there, watched the fight, man. Had a big crowd there, man. A lot of people, man. Had a lot of AJ fans there, man. There's a lot of UK people down here in the States here. A lot of people coming from the States, man. You could tell with the accent, man. And they were rooting on AJ, and they was like, AJ did it, and they were very happy, man. And he fought a good fight, man. I thought the last couple of rounds, in particular the 11th and 12th round, he basically was on his bicycle, and he wasn't really throwing no punches, man. I guess he figured that he was way ahead. He didn't want to give Andy Ruiz any kind of chance to land something big and turn the fight around. So he pretty much got on his bicycle. He kind of pulled the Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Trinidad in the last 3 rounds of that fight, as he just pretty much ran and just stayed out of harm's way. Thought he had the fight wrapped up, and ended up getting I ain't gonna say he got robbed, but ended up losing the fight in a fight that most people thought he won, but he gave away 3 rounds, man, running and gunning, running, getting on his bicycle, man, and staying out of harm's way. And that's what AJ did the last 2 rounds, 11th to 12th round, man. He didn't engage at all, but the first 10 rounds he fought beautiful, using the jab, right hand, right hook, left hook. He did a good job of, like I say, smothering Andy Ruiz when he got inside. He did a good job of just fighting a beautiful, disciplined fight, man. Used his height, used his reach, and used all his physical attributes to his advantage, man. Just fought a smart, disciplined fight, man. And it was, like I say, it was basically the Wladimir Klitscko blueprint. And he implemented that at a high level, man. So credit what's credit's due. What's going to happen after this? I see Anthony Joshua moving on to take care of his mandatories. He's got a mandatory versus Kubrat Pulev. That fight could go to a purse bid with Top Rank. So whoever wins that purse bid will pretty much set the tone on where that fight takes place. If Top Rank wins the purse bid, they'll want that fight on the ESPN. If Matchroom wins the purse bid, they want that fight on the zone. So he's got that, and then he's got the mandatory with the WBO. And that could be a matchup between him and Alexander Usyk. The WBO champion. They can make that fight very easy because both guys are in-house. It'll be interesting to see if Matchroom loses the purse bid. Well, they say, nah, we're not fighting on ESPN. We're going to go and fight on the zone and go and fight Usyk, who I look at as a much tougher opponent than Pulev, the IBF mandatory. So I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think any way it goes, I think Matchroom takes us to fight with Pulev. Even if they have to go to ESPN, Pulev is a much easier opponent than Alexander Usyk, who's although coming up from cruiserweight, is a much more skilled, much more technical, and just a much more overall better fighter than Pulev. So I would look for Matchroom to look for that fight. Then after they beat Pulev, maybe they look to fight Usyk, Chisora winner. Those two are looking to meet up next. Far as the man, I don't know if that's the fight that Eddie Hearn has been talking about, the Alexander Usyk versus Derek Chisora fight. And the winner of that, will be in prime position to fight AJ if he gets by Pulev, which I suspect he would do, because Pulev is he's a basically 1-2 fighter. He throws that jab out there. He's not even a good jab. He just throws the jab out just to kind of throw you off, and he's looking to land those right hands. And if you could take away his right hand, Pulev is pretty much don't have nothing else that's going to bother you. So that should be an easy fight for AJ to do, man. Just take away his right hand, circle toward his right, to take away his right hand, and you shoot his jab out and just use his height and reach, like he did against Andy. The jab, the right hand, right hook, left hook. And in the time Pulev try to throw that right hand, you just, pretty much get your guard up and Pulev is not an inside fighter, so he ain't got to worry about that like he had to worry about with Ruiz. So he's just a basic fighter. That's a much easier fight, and that should be just an easy unanimous decision for AJ. If not a knockout, if he can land something big, because Pulev is nothing special, just a straight up and down, no special effects type of fighter. So that should be the avenue that Matchroom Boxing and AJ will probably go down that path. So we'll see what happens, man. But congrats to Anthony Joshua defeating Andy Ruiz and regaining his heavyweight titles: WBA, WBO, IBF, and the IBO champion. We'll see what happens, man. As far as Deontay Wilder goes, he's got a matchup set up with Tyson Fury in February. If he's able to prevail in that matchup, look for him to get matched up with Adam Kanaki. Kanaki was at the Wilder Ortiz 2 fight, and he was there in attendance, and he spoke with the Fox commentators after that fight. So that's the fight that they're looking to line up, man. Quiet as kept, that's the fight they're looking to line up. So we'll see what happens, man. So that's going to be the next 2 fights. So making a long story short, don't look for AJ and Wilder to happen anytime soon, man. Both guys going to have at least 2 fights on the horizon before we can even think about those 2 matching up. Like I said, AJ's got Pulev. He's got the WBO mandatory. And Wilder's got Fury coming up in February, and he's got Adam Kanaki coming up probably somewhere in the summertime, and they looking to stage that fight in the Barclays Center up in New York, Brooklyn, New York, where they have a big, huge Polish fan base down there that attends a lot of Kanaki's fight, along with the fans that show up and support Wilder. When he's had fights at the Barclays, there should be a real electric atmosphere when those 2 match up. They'll be looking to stage that fight on Fox pay-per-view. So that's what we're looking at right now in the heavyweight divisions. Once again, congrats to congrats to AJ, Anthony Joshua, for regaining his heavyweight titles. And we'll look to see him match up with a Kubak Pulev at the IBF mandatory, and they'll be looking to make that fight somewhere in the first quarter of 2020. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.